With you
with Harry.
about how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Ooh. And you're not going to tell me who had the conversation?
I think that would be very damaging to them.
Conversation I'm never going to share. But at the time it was awkward. I was a bit shocked.
Can you tell us what the question was?
No, I'm not comfortable sharing that.
What this baby may potentially, wait, I'm sorry, this is my baby. I mean, this baby may potentially look like. They were concerned when his mama has freckles. I have freckles. My mom is darker than this girl. My sister is darker than this girl.
This girl did not look black. And I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm not trying to be weird. I'm not trying to act like black people all look one way. This ain't this. Of course, she simulated right in there. Now, Shaniqua would have came through there with crochet braids and stuff like that. Then I would probably believe her if she said the royal family was prejudiced against me. And Shaniqua is dark as night and beautiful. I would think that probably would be a conversation that they may have had, right, wrong, or indifferent. Look, they can do what they want to do. And you ask me, they probably was right. He probably shouldn't have dated that black girl because now they kicked out of royalty. And
Okay, I'm going to get serious, I promise. Brandon just makes me laugh. His perspective is hilarious. But yeah, this is a little white baby. Gorgeous, gorgeous little baby. But looking at her, even if you were racist, you wouldn't be concerned like, oh goodness, how dark is the baby going to be? And I feel like they left the context out on purpose. And it wasn't because they were worried about it being damaging to the family because, as they said, because it's going to be damaging regardless. More so by not understanding. I'll give it to Oprah. Oprah, at least, she was asking very direct questions, even though they wouldn't give direct answers, or they would if Harry would start answering directly, she would jump in and start using witchy magic with language, start talking about across the pond and these vague descriptions that really don't mean anything, or you don't understand what she means or is talking about. What it comes down to is how she was feeling, because they can't give anything specific is what I'm thinking. And yeah, she is gorgeous. Most people would agree on this. I'm not saying that this family isn't racist to some degree, or they weren't actually rude to her and whatnot. I'm not saying that. That may have happened. I just don't want to spend too much time on the race thing. So many people are covering this. I think there's a lot more to unpack here.
Do you think it's because of his race?
So we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
So the right is picking this apart and wanting to know the details and the context. And Oprah even asked, what was the specific question? If you can't give us, then, tell us who said it. And again, it's not because it's damaging, because it's going to damage everybody instead of just one person if you can't tell us who. So that's not the reason. Why? And if you can't tell us who said it, why can't you at least tell us what they said? That will at least give us specifics enough to know whether we can decide if that was racist or not. Because people talk about these things when the baby is born. You're imagining all the possibilities. Are they going to have red hair? Are they going to have a big nose like daddy? And yes, for those people who have had mixed race babies, they will tell you that that's a possibility too that they think about. Is the baby going to be dark like daddy or light like mama or somewhere in between? You're just imagining and wondering. It's perfectly normal and it's not racist. Again, I don't know. If they can't give us the exact statement or question or context, then we can't possibly know, point blank. And that this is a problem that I'm seeing with the new SJW movement and whatever. It's to assume everyone's subconsciously racist, and we don't need to know context. You just you automatically believe all women. You believe anybody that says they were oppressed or victimized, or, you know what I mean? So it's like intent doesn't matter. So the problem I'm seeing when we're talking about race relations and things like this in real life, it's the people that are actually privileged, sitting in their ivory towers, you know, talking about this and telling the rest of us what we should think about this and what's happening in the real world, when they are so out of touch with the real world. They have no idea. And I just saw a vegan, a white guy, I won't say his name, but he was just talking about this in another video, how he needs to stand up for the POCs and the transgenders and all of these communities, the minorities, because he has a white face and people will just listen to him first. He even admitted that he didn't grow up around black people. He doesn't know any black people. He thinks he's listening on the media and the people that are speaking loudest on YouTube and whatnot. He thinks he's hearing from the majority of the minority. And the thing is, I don't think that's necessarily the case, because, and what I asked him was, why don't the conservative black voices matter? Like, why don't their ideas and opinions matter then? If you really want to speak up for minority groups, why does only this very leftist ideology matter? Because the conservative black folks feel offended when you're saying things like that, and when you're going around thinking you automatically have some unspoken privilege above them and you're a regular person like them, or maybe they're even doing better than you in life. They're killing it. So you see what I mean? Like, it's regular people and it's the media, when we really should be looking around in the real world and just treating people as equal. Because until we do that, until we really, really believe that everyone is equal to us, regardless of color, until then, they won't be. And so I see these celebrities and these actual privileged people that are talking about this all the time. It's sort of like a magic trick. It's like, look here, not here at my villa, not at the 7 million I just got paid to do this interview. Look here, not there, whatever. And so I was telling this guy, I was trying to explain to him, I grew up in the South. You know, I grew up around black people. I still have black friends to this day. Racism was worse then. It's better now. We've seen it with our own eyes. A lot of us have really seen it. It doesn't mean we're saying it doesn't exist. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying be realistic. Like, look around you in the real world and acknowledge what's really happening. Don't read minds. Don't try to make all these assumptions about what people are thinking. Just witness what you're really seeing and what you're really feeling. Because if you're not careful, you could grow up in these very privileged settings, white or black, being told your whole life about what racism really is. It's all these weird microaggressions and subconscious notions. And then you got into the real world and you make all these presumptions about, you know, this person is racist because they said this word, and the context doesn't matter anymore. The intent doesn't matter anymore. Then it becomes something that isn't even tangible anymore. Like, you're fighting a ghost. And again, these people got paid $7 million just to talk about this. Now, enough about race. I want to show you a series of clips from about a year ago when they were actually participating in all of the monarchy duties. And I want to let the body language ghost give a little more insight, and then I'm going to talk about this a little more, because I think this is where the real meat and potatoes of what's going on is.
And what you see is her fixing her hair on either side. There's nothing wrong with it. She's constantly in grooming mode. And then we're fixing the sleeve of our clothing. All of this goes into a personality type. And insecure people are constantly trying to groom themselves, get rid of perceived imperfections. The grooming, the messing with a dress, wrinkles that aren't there. So touching arm, pay attention to me, touching arm. I still have pull with you. You're not mentally being taken by someone else. That's that insecurity that's coming out. She didn't follow orders the first time, So he did it again. This time she behaves and she turns around. Again, this is the insecurity. Harry's behind her. She's in a situation she does not feel comfortable in. Her anchor, as far as her social security, is behind her, and he's talking or jovial or he's moving around. He's done something that has caught her attention. And so she wants to investigate. And then she's been told to turn around, which she obeys because he's the one with all the power in this situation. Many people want to say that she's telling him to sit, like a command. And really, it's more of the insecurity coming out. I'm gesturing to you to sit. I want to sit. Please sit. He doesn't do it. As a matter of fact, it seems like he says no, standing ovation, but it was polite. It wasn't a command from him. But her insecurity is out. And insecurities on a relationship can really wear it down. And then he finally pushes it off. Being this insecure and needing that constant reassurance is not healthy. It leads to conflict. And usually what happens is you have to have a common enemy for couples like this to survive. Because the insecure person can justify why they're acting this way because, blah, 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 is so mean to me.
So it becomes clear to me that this whole racist storyline is just an excuse that she came up with, and then now they've agreed upon to leave, when it was obviously so much more, which is why they convoluted the security being taken away and the title of prince being taken away. I don't know much about the way they do things, but I was pretty sure that Harry, being the second born son, his children would be a lord, or, I didn't think that he would get the title. But if you opt out, regardless, they opted out, so they don't get anything. I mean, you're not in the monarchy, so why would your son be a prince? Even if that were the title he was supposed to get. Why would he get security? Why would he get all of the perks? Oh, and I didn't mention, she said she was so severely depressed while pregnant with child during this time that she was thinking about suicide. I mean, can you really put all of that? That is heavy. That is heavy. Can you really put all of that upon someone, and all you've got is one comment they made about color that you can't even give in detail? You can't even tell us the full sentence that was said? Now, that doesn't take away, what she was feeling. I do feel really bad for her. I do believe she was very severely depressed from looking at the footage and whatnot. And also knowing that she comes from a background of very left-leaning feminism, whatnot. I can see, the conflict in her mind. This is a very traditional submissive role. The roles of masculine and feminine are very, very distinct. So, do you see, there you can't place your hand upon the man's shoulder. He needs to place his hand on you. And she's not wanting to play along with all this. She's trying to pull him. She just wants to act like they're from California, which is where they moved back to. You know what I mean? So, yeah, she's not enjoying this. And instead of deciding to really work as hard as she can to fit into this. So I'm assuming she took any criticisms, and we see this all around the world today, especially with the left. I hate to keep calling them out on this, but, the people of the left, everything is attacks and hate, and you can't tell them. They want to put the blame on any and everybody else. They can't ever take accountability or responsibility. And not all, I'll say it, not all, but a lot of these SJWs, this is the world, this is the mindset they're living in. So instead of, molding herself to fit into this family so she can be with this man, because this is what she should have known she was signing up for. So instead of doing that, she's feeling attacked, very, very insecure, and she's just going deeper into her own shell. And this is way outside of the norm for her, because she's probably used to being in control and having sort of the upper hand, because feminists, they want equality, quote unquote, but what does that really mean? There are normal roles in any relationship, and to make a family unit work, there are roles for everyone. And that doesn't mean you have to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, but in a traditional role like this, you're the feminine wife. You wear dresses. You look the way you're supposed to look. You talk the way you're supposed to look, probably only when spoken to. And you know what I mean? It's a very, very traditional, very conservative. And she would have to give up her acting career. That means she doesn't work as the wife, the princess. And yeah, I can see her having a terrible time. I can see any feminist having a terrible time, taking commands and taking on this very feminine role.
She's got her hand on top of his, which is more of a controlling, strong maneuver. And he's petting the inside of his thigh, which says all we need to know. She's in control, and he's constantly trying to reassure himself with petting.
So again, this is my opinion. I could be completely wrong. She may have been trying her best to assimilate and taking all these commands and doing what she was told, and maybe feeling a little insecure about it, but, going along and getting along, and just hearing little remarks, which I feel like if it was more than one remark, they would have absolutely spoke about it. But you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's still possible I could be wrong. So now they're home in California talking about race and whatnot on, Zoom meetings, in a space where Meghan seems to be most comfortable, taking up the whole frame, while Harry's sitting in the corner taking commands. Men are masculine. Women are feminine. This is the way nature made us. Like the nuclear family works so well because of all of our different roles and the way the family structure sets itself up. And that's why when I speak about these things, I don't want to offend anybody, because there are outliers. Always. There's always outliers, single mothers or single fathers, or, just random events that occur that shake things up, and the children still turn out fine. That doesn't mean there isn't a best possible, way that we should be striving to be. And so in a relationship, it's the same way. It doesn't mean that a woman can't go to work. It doesn't mean that she has to stay home cooking and cleaning and taking on every command that she's given. It doesn't mean she doesn't have a voice, or it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean she's not equal in value as a human. It just means that in these relationships, the man has to feel like as the masculine, because this is not, I didn't set it up this way. Okay. Don't be mad at me. This is just the way God has set it up, for the man to be the head of the household. That's my opinion. I mean, you can have it what other way you think it will work for you, but the man needs to be the head of the household. And it works out best this way. He needs to feel like he has control, that he can take care of his family. It provides him with a sense of purpose, just like it provides a mother with a sense of purpose, knowing that you can nurture and love your family. It doesn't mean that's the only role you have. So yeah, I think this is more about how feminism clashes with real femininity, and how all these ideologies and ideas of our modern culture, how they're just clashing with the way God and nature is set up. Our modern culture is just so lost. They take the most surface level. They can't go any deeper. They just run with it. And I saw so many comments about incest. And I think it's funny. I'm not mad. Look, I'm watching what people are saying on all these different channels. And these are the channels, though, that are calling everybody racist. And talking about colorism and texturism and all these different things, when the first thing they'll tell you is how your skin is too white, or you look inbred. So you don't want skinny lips. You don't want a long back. Aren't these white features? So then aren't people colorist towards white people? It's like the logic is not consistent, and they don't care. They don't even care how inconsistent it is. And I'm not saying, these things aren't real. To some degree, colorism, sure. Yeah. Racism, of course. But, it's so much more superficial than they realize. That's all. And about Meghan, I want to say one more thing, because in the interview, she discussed how betrayed she was by her father, and how, the paparazzi went and found him right before their wedding, and he sold stories And she called and asked him. He lied about it. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, these people, they have no self-awareness. She is doing the exact same thing right now. Right now.
Do you think you would have left or ever stepped back were it not for Meghan?
No, the answer to your question is no.
Murder!